Hello everybody, this is Mithril Zenith. I am in fact alive, I do in fact exist, I believe. Last I checked I was alive. It's been a while and not entirely intentional. Sorry about that. So what happened was I tried to record another episode of something else, and my splitter, I realized after recording, gave out on me. So the recording had no audio. Yeah, I wasn't gonna do that. So my splitter, the internal wiring was a piece of crap, and it failed on me. So I had to get a new headset. Then I started a job. Then my life got crazy. Then I never had any time to myself to record, and then a couple months passed. So that's been my life. Anyway, I believe we should have go to Guild Trail here. Let's get back into Holy Crusade, shall we? Yes, I have no idea where we were last time, because it's literally August. And last time I recorded, I think it was like April. Possibly May. Okay, so we have our healing stuff. Do we have a quest? No, we don't. Good. No quests. And we are still level 22 wizard. Good, we only have forever and a half to go. Trying to level wizard is the hardest part of this. Not hardest, but most time consuming. I need to change the buffers. Where's my buffer window? Yes, it has been a long, long time. I think I've finally gotten this figured out to the point where it won't be a tiny window. According to OBS, it won't be a tiny window. I'm also diseased. This is... Oh, I'm not diseased. Good. Yeah. So, I mean, the good news is I'm recording today. The bad news is I'm also moving to college in a couple days. So I have no idea if or when I will have time to record anything else. So, I mean, we'll figure things out. I've missed doing this. I've missed it a lot. But I've also been super busy, so I hope you can understand that and bear with me. Again, apologies for saying, I'll have more content on a regular basis, and then nothing for a long time. It happens. Ugh. It's on my eye. Yeah. So recently, I've been going insane. I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls. I got all the achievements in Dark Souls. Dark Souls 2. Still haven't finished that. I have about 60 hours in there. It's a much longer game than Dark Souls 1. I also have the Scholar of the First Sin edition, so I have every DLC thing there. And I'm not looking up a guide or anything. I'm just wandering through, exploring, and it's been fun, but it's been also at times really frustrating. Because hollowing is a thing that shouldn't exist, but it does. And is really dumb. Exactly how I feel, Dimian. Wait a second, I never cast Veil Feather Essence on myself. Yeah, I am so out of practice. Last time I played this game was probably April or May when I did my last recording. Yeah. That's my dazzle hotkey. These gremlins are annoying. I don't know if I can really go down to level 2 safely, because if you haven't noticed, my fighting skills are horrible because I'm a freaking elf. Why did I decide this was a good idea? Ants! Dazzle time. The old razzle dazzle. And ghost ones. Thank goodness the ants weren't in the anti-magic area. So, having things to talk about is important, and I don't have any right now. Life's been busy and full of things. So full of things, indeed, that I don't know what to talk about. Iron Hammer. Okay. I usually talk about RPG stuff, and I guess I could do that a little bit today. I've been playing a lot more of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. It's proved fun with my group, although I've started getting to the point in this group where I'm maxing out how I don't know how maxing out, but occasionally I get, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, you know, where the grass is greener on the other side, and you start dreaming of other campaigns you could be running, but instead you're running this one. And not that it's bad or anything, but it's just like feeling stagnation, feeling like you want to mix things up, you want to change things. That's kind of how I've been feeling. But it's all good, it's all fine. I'm not hating life or anything. I'm enjoying the campaign. It's certainly been interesting. My party of level 6 to 7 adventurers killed a Death Knight because I may have started out going a little easy on them, and then I may have rolled a natural 1 on a save against Hypnotic Pattern, and Death Knights may not be immune to Charm for some reason. Like, the immunities of every other demon or undead are like insane, but Death Knights, no. They have none of the like immunities or resistances. It's just necrotic damage and poison damage. And then they can't be exhausted or like 2 other things. But they can still be charmed apparently. So they Hypnotic Pattern, and then they set up a crazy trap and got some lucky crits from their rogue, and yeah, and then they, when they were about to die, they, you know, they were fleeing, and so it was trying to escape, and so, but there was only one way it could escape. It didn't have a teleport or anything, so yeah. So they ran it into kind of an ambush, and that dealt the last like 20 points of damage to it, and it died. They defeated a Death Knight with the help of some NPCs, so they didn't get like full experience, but I was impressed. I was also kinda sad that they did it, but I mean, it happens. I mean, the good news for my side is that Death Knights don't really die when you defeat them. They just kind of stick around for a little while, but they'll be back. That's interesting. Yeah, that game's been interesting. It's been really fun. I think the characters are finally starting to get a feel for who they are, and it's also interesting because some of the characters are finally being a little more reckless because they think that they might actually want to die and start new characters, which is in some ways good, but in some ways stressful as well, because then it feels like they're wanting me to kill them off, and I'm just not going to GM kill. I understand things, and it's like, if you want to retire your character, then find a way to do so, remove your character, and bring in a new one. But asking for the GM to kill you off, I mean, I've been GM killed off before, just for the sake of the story, quote unquote, and I had an awful time with it. It wasn't very fun, so I refused to do that. I mean, he was petrified by a death tyrant, but then another party member demanded the high priest to, you know, greater restoration him, so he wouldn't be petrified, and yeah. You know, I can only do things to a point before the players use their resources to do things in the story, which, yeah, would happen. Not saying that's a bad thing, it's a wonderful thing, and I like that the players are taking control and really using all their resources to their advantage, and yeah, it's a wonderful thing. The only problem comes in when players start wanting me to do specific things, and I'm like, no, I can do a little bit, but I can't do everything you want me to. It's interesting. But it's been fun. It's been really enjoyable, actually. So even though I've been kind of having my head in other campaigns, I'm sorry, I hope that drinking water sound doesn't come in to play. Yeah, even though I kind of have my head in other campaigns, it's been fun running this one. And at this point, like, everyone's going their separate ways, everyone needs their own... Everyone has their own schedules, which are going to get crazy, so I mean, it might not continue on for a long time. Or it might, who knows? I don't. I'm just gonna keep going as long as I'm not pinned, because, yeah, pinning is a lot easier. It's a lot easier to stay in the dungeon once you're already in the dungeon than it is to kind of make yourself go back. I guess in that sense, they got things right between this and other RPGs, like tabletop RPGs, because like, once you're in the dungeon, you don't want to leave until you have to, but once you're back in town, it's kind of like, are we really ready to go back in? Speaking of going back down into the dungeon, I've been very interested in some almost older style RPG games, you know, old school Renaissance and whatnot. Just looking at that because, I don't know, because I just find it interesting. I just find it different. Sometimes I feel like the sheer number of skills and their variety. Why am I missing so much? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes modern games can be a bit too heavily weighted in the player's favor. Not that I want to kill off players per se, but I feel like sometimes it feels like no matter what you do, they can just charge in and kill whatever you put in front of them unless you deliberately make it impossible. Like that Death Knight, I totally expected them to get more help, or to run away, or to... I mean, I expected something else to happen entirely, but turns out when people roll high and the NPCs roll low, the NPCs can lose. NPCs in this case being monsters. Yeah. And it happens, and that's playing fair, that's playing by the game, and that's really what it's all about, ultimately. And I guess in that sense I couldn't be more happy, but at the same time it's also interesting, just, I guess, a feeling of like wanting difference, wanting more. I don't know how to describe it. Am I being too weird about this? Am I being too harsh? Am I wanting to win too much as a GM? Is that my problem? I don't know. Anyway, that's not the button I want. Anyway, I've been looking into, like, Dungeon Crawl Classics as a system because it seems interesting. It seems different. I definitely like the idea of the character funnel, and I think that I don't know, I've been listening to some different shows and podcasts and whatnot about OSR type things. What have I learned? Now that we're leveling up, you have that screeching town theme in your right ear. Let's see, we have resist poison, resist stoning, teleport, precognitive death, sanctuary, banish demon. None of which I'm going to be using for a long time, probably. Because, I mean, the resistance spells I might. Which one are natural resistance like fire, poison, disease, or mind and magic. Magic resist 80 is actually really nice. That's not the right page. What am I looking at? But yeah, as you can see by the wizard resistance spells, they're freaking expensive. Yes, I need to look up again. I've already forgotten whether it was 42 or 48 that I need to be as a wizard. I think it's 42. Hope it's only 42. The good news is I'm not on a quest. We'll keep the key of opening because reasons. Could be useful. 6, 23. Insight. Good. Good. I can use that. Now, I forget what is what, these potions. Health, I think, is disease. Yes. I have 2 separate crystals of healing. Let's combine those. Unicorn horn cast, resist whatever. Resist whatever, yes, my favorite skill. I am so, not even really paying attention. It's already been 18 minutes. As you can see, leveling in freaking Wizard takes forever if you haven't been aware of this. I'm contemplating just... This is another issue that's been bothering me, is I don't have a good video editing software right now. Or at least the ones I do have, I don't really know how to use. Without making watermarks and all that type of stuff, which you don't want to see. So, he might have wanted to join me. I don't really care. Let's go to the guilds. Let's make a level. And, yeah, we need a lot more experience. But that's all, so there's no quest. We might be able to continue. Anyway, what I was saying was I don't really have a good video editing software, and the ones I do have I don't know how to use. What I was wanting to do, or wondering if it was a good idea, was instead of showing all this leveling, which, I don't know who wants to see it. Maybe there's someone who wants to see this, but if anything interesting happens, then I can slow down and make an episode of it. But I need to unequip the unicorn horn. Then I use, and then I unequip, and I equip the unicorn horn, and then I open the chest, which has, well, it's money. Normal hands are money. So I was thinking is instead of showing everything, just like record it all and then somehow speed up like massively so I can just say, hey, you know, I did all this, legit. I'm just speeding all this up because, I mean, who wants to see another 10 hours of leveling wizard? Not really me. And then, like, if I get any quest or if I get any crazy things, then I can, you know, slow down and kind of do that. And then you just hear me, I just record like an over track in post instead of doing a live recording like this. So I guess I'm asking what are your thoughts on that? Would you prefer that I just kind of, and this would also allow me to make recordings, stupid pickpocket, so allow me to make recordings even when I don't really have a lot of freak. Well, there goes my wisdom that I just buffed. Yeah, I shouldn't be down on level 3 without drain resistance. Speaking of drain resistance, how much does that cost to kill? Speaking of resistances, I'm not flying or invisible. Man, I am forgetting everything. Yeah, drain resistance costs 68. This is like really bad. Thank goodness for magic resistance, though. That makes me happy. Yeah, the good thing about it would be that I'd be able to record. I'd be able to play and make recordings while I'm, you know, without having to be alone in a quiet room. So I can just do it more casually or while listening to things or whatever. I've been diseased again. Yeah. Alright, gremlins. Stupid gremlins. Yeah. Again, the bad news is you wouldn't get all this live commentary, but I think at this point I'm running out of a lot of things to say that are new and interesting about the game that I haven't already said before. We're not really progressing too much deeper into the dungeon until I get decently low costing resistance spells or items that provide those resistances because, yeah, getting drained instantly sucks. As you can tell. We got one wisdom and then immediately dropped it down. But that's mortal for you. And that's the way a lot of older RPGs, I hear, should run. A lot of older tabletop games should be like, yeah, you made a mistake, you went where you weren't supposed to, and now you are afflicted in some way or possibly just dead. And that's just how it is. Probably should use Draining Touch, because dungeon weeds take forever and a half to kill. It's a bit late now. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of where my fascination starts with those. Where it's like, okay, I mean, I can make these weaker things into actual threats, like, you know, I mean, why haven't they cleared out the goblins out of the mine? Because there are a freaking ton of goblins. There's always more goblins, and they're setting traps, and they're doing all this crazy stuff, and who knows? Goblins could kill you, even if you're not just level 1. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of potential going on with that. I really like that low-level scrambling, both on the player side and the GM side, actually, because it means you're making a lot more creative use of the things you have in the environment, in fiction. Whereas once you get to higher levels, especially in more modern games, 5th edition, Pathfinder, freaking Pathfinder. Have I gone on the Pathfinder rant already? I think I have. I hate getting spit on. Who loses their glass cannons of the game. Yeah, I think I've gone on the Pathfinder rant before, so I'm not gonna do it here. Anyway, yeah, so if I... Yeah, that's back to what I'm trying to say. Modern games, once your players start leveling, it's like, okay, now, I mean, they can just kind of face roll, and you can throw a challenge that is supposedly deadly for them and meant for a really high level, and then they can kind of use a bit of, like, you know, you kind of get a bit of, like, smart play and smart planning out of them. But if, you know, they can still overcome it, and sometimes if they're lucky, they just do it automatically. Because of a Nat 1 failed save, which I refuse to re-roll, because, I mean, technically, I should have re-rolled, because I didn't realize he had magic resistance, and that would have greatly changed everything. So, yeah. I mean, that was a mistake on my part. That was me forgetting the ability the monster had, and so they probably wouldn't have done exactly what they did and won exactly that way. But that stuff happens, and you're not going to go back and retcon the fight and say, oh, you actually should have lost, so I'm just going to undo everything you did. No, that's a jerk thing to do. According to everything that I remembered, and I mean, they won. I mean, it's like, you know, as a GM, it's like, oh, well, you forgot you had that ability? I mean, too bad, you can activate it in the future, but you're not going to activate it right now, because retconning stuff like that is dumb, and unless it's absolutely necessary, don't retcon. When I say absolutely necessary, I mean, if, like, I don't even know what I mean by that. Like, I've only had, like, one situation in the several months I've been playing this where I felt it necessary to go back and say, hey, we need to look at these numbers again. This isn't, not numbers, but we need to go back. And it wasn't even in combat, it was like a conversation. It's like, hey, we need to change this conversation because something else happens that changes the context of it entirely. Normally I would really care about how much I'm aging from resting this much, but I'm a freaking elf, I don't care. I will find a dragon's blood before I turn 100 and whatever. I'll be fine. Yeah. I don't go back and retcon unless it's like absolutely necessary, especially when the retcon's only point would be to potentially kill players. That's not the way I play. You know, I'm not afraid of killing players, you know, quote unquote, but I'm also not like out to kill them and out to just be a jerk. Because I think that's a jerk way to do things. And we've been going on for about half an hour, so I think I'll sell my stuff, and that'll be that. Yes, so please give your feedback if you want me to keep going on this, like, the same way we've been doing things, or if you want me to try to, just record stuff quickly and, yeah. And then go from there. But yeah, I've been Mithril Zenith, thanks for watching, and I forgot what week it is of this, so I'll look up the week and I'll put it on the video. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Laters.